From HYPEBEAST Radio, I'm Jeff Staple, and this is The Business of Hype, a show about creative entrepreneurs, brand builders, innovators, and the realities behind the dreams they've built. Hey everyone, it's Jeff Staple, and I'm battling a bit of a cold this week, so please excuse this frog that is living inside of my throat. But alas, the show must go on. Please send chicken soup if you can. So every week on the podcast, I try and bring on guests that illustrate different aspects of business and how they use creativity, financial acumen, and marketing to create what we generally categorize as hype. You could argue that street culture is where the notion of hype was born. So sometimes I like to bring on guests that are at the true epicenter of the streetwear scene. And my guests this week are literally ground zero architects of the culture. They really require no introduction. If you don't know their names, you should know their brand. And if you don't know their brand, you probably know some of the collaborative projects that they've touched and felt the impact that they've made in today's industry. What started out as a tiny shop in the Lower East Side of New York City has become one of the key building blocks to today's sneaker and streetwear world. In a time when streetwear, or whatever term you want to use at this point, has become pretty much mainstream, many like Virgil Abloh and Interview magazine point back to the Alife crew as pioneers and an institution. And there's simply no debating that anymore. So get ready to hear how it all began, and the many pitfalls and lessons that they faced, and how they were able to take all of that experience to refocus and pivot for the future. So everyone, please welcome Rob Jest and Trey Hill from the one and only Alife. All right, so let's begin. Who do we have in the studio? Or actually, I'm in your studio today. So who do we have in the house right now?
You have Rob, Alife, Rob Jest, Rob 1970.
And Trey Hill, Alife.
Nice, the Alife crew. All right, cool. This is going to be a good one because you guys go back. And are we going to go back today?
Yeah, we're going to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Go. All right, so let's start at the beginning. And I definitely want to go through some of the different chapters. But in the beginning, there were 4, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I feel like you're going to test my knowledge of
I will, definitely.
of Alife trivia.
For sure.
All right. You want to...
Rob interviewing you.
Yeah, I know. This is...
Be ready.
So, Rob, you want to start with just like who the 4 the originators are of Alife?
Yep. So, 98, I think, we kind of came to fruition that we were going to do something other than working where we worked together, which was Sportswear International magazine. And it was myself, it was Arnaud Delecolle, it was Tony Arcabascio, and at the time Arnaud was married to Tammy, Uptown Tammy. So it was at this job that we met each other, and we had been in different sectors of the magazine. Mm-hmm. Tony and myself were in the art department. Arnaud was editorial, covering this realm, fashion, stores, independent people, brands. So we came from this. Mm-hmm. Myself and Tony were in the, underneath pretty good people that had been in the game for a long time. One was a classically trained French art director by the name of Guillaume Bruneau, who used to do Elle magazine and these higher luxury fashion magazines. Mm-hmm. And then his assistant was Young Kim, which we were just talking about before, who went on to do a lot of Wyden and Kennedy and more culturally relevant stuff to us. But that was my initial training in how to use a computer. When I first went to that job, I didn't know how to turn on a computer, basically. And that was the beginning. I mean, we were doing cut and paste with, X-Acto knives and putting magazine together by hand, basically.
Clear tape and
so,
shit.
that was the era that we kind of came up in, when you had to have a photograph. You had to take the hair out or the wrinkles out. You had to bring it to the retoucher, and he had to sit there with a paintbrush and retouch the picture, and then, so that was the era that we kind of came up on.
People have no idea that you could have been a graphic designer back then and not know how to use the computer. Like, graphic design wasn't equal to computer.
No, it was like a trade that you really learned when, now the computer allows you to become anything. Back then, you kind of had to have
talent.
That's it, have some kind of knowledge on what you were doing.
Right. Sportswear International is not like a widely known magazine because it's business to business, but it was crazy influential to the whole industry, right?
It's actually funny because I just ran into Cause a couple weeks ago at a block party here, and we were when I was the art director there, I published Cause's first artwork ever. That was the first time that Cause ever put
His art on paper, like
his art
in printed magazine.
That was the first time it was ever published, and that was when he was really like just, we go back through the graffiti community, but he was, even back then, it was like evolving the evolution of graffiti, and that was when he was doing the bus stops and the phone booths.
Yeah.
And so we gave him, prints that a photographer shot of bullshit, really, just models, editorial stuff.
Yeah.
And he took them and he did his thing. And that was the first thing he did. We did the cover, and he did like a 10-page story or whatever it was. And when I just saw him, he's like, "Do you know what I have?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "I have the envelope that you tagged up on my name, Cause FC, with all the prints, know." And so he just sent me the pictures of that shit, and I was like, "Wow, that was a blast from the past."
Yeah. It'd be great if he could send you the prints too.
Yeah. You heard that, Brian.
That's dope. And then, did you know that I took up the reins as art director after y'all left?
No, I didn't.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I worked under Adina.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, like, you guys
just had
programmed
that
the
in the
voice.
bag real quick.
That's great.
It was...
Did you know that we worked there?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you guys set the tone.
Okay.
Because most business-to-business magazines just talked, like, boring stats and, like, industry shit. But Sportswear International, actually, they allowed a cause cover to happen.
Yes.
Which no other rag would allow,
No.
So when I came on, it was like, I did an article on Bobito.
Wow.
So it was, I had to
I
take
had
the reins.
no idea. That's great.
Yeah, it was fun.
Wow,
Good
schooling
times.
me now.
You want to talk about going down memory lane? This takes me back. These fellas are the true pioneers, the OGs of what you call streetwear and sneaker culture today. We're talking Cause as just a pure graffiti writer and Rob as an art director. Hype didn't even exist. Gallery and museum shows weren't a priority, and brand collaborations, they weren't even in the vocabulary yet. This was all about having a true connection to culture before everyone just started using the word the culture. What seems cool and tapped in today's world was just naturally existing in deep corner pockets of life back in the day. The industry today seems so fleeting. Brands and artists pop up and become the new hot thing, and collaborations seem forced with little to no purpose at all. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy seeing new waves of talent and energy, but it's reassuring to think how far people like Rob and Alife have come, where we are now, and the fact that we can still sit down and chop it up after all these years. Rob and the guys were really pioneers. I mean, I remember when I took over art direction for Sportswear International, there was a very high benchmark level that I had to hit and try to exceed. It's what pushed me to create some of the proudest design work I've done in my career. I remember doing layouts and cover shoots and thinking, if those guys did it that way, I need to take it to the next level. It was competitive, but it also pushed me to become better. So even though Rob didn't know it, he helped make me who I am today. Who was the founder? Klaus?
The founder, no.
Oh, the chairman guy.
The original, and this is how this came about. The original was a gangster from Throggs Neck in the Bronx named Michael Belomo, who passed away. God
What?
bless. But so before that, publishing, before that opportunity happened, my father was like, go talk to a neighborhood friend of mine, Mikey Belomo, and see if he could use you for anything. And so that was my initial foot in the door. Was I went to go see Mike Belomo, who was, he was the publisher of the magazine before he sold it to the Germans. And so he was like, what do you do? I said, I do art. And that's really it. He's like, do you know how to use a computer? I said, yeah. Meanwhile, I never had touched a computer. He's like, okay, come in, a couple days a week and you start doing it. And really that was it. I was there as an intern and I was getting coffee for the art directors and dropping clothes off and doing all the shit that, you had to do. And
were you friends with Tony already?
No.
Oh, so you met Tony on the job?
I met Tony and Arnaud, and Tony, the crazy shit is, so I was writing graffiti as a kid, and I was always tagging and doing shit and whatever. And when I met Tony ended up there randomly also, but when we found out that we both wrote graffiti, and the reason that, and I'm kind of a dick, I don't talk to people, it takes me a long time to kind of like, break into people. But Tony actually did a memory piece on the Long Island Expressway that I had seen growing up. It was like anytime we would go out to Long Island, there was a piece that said "In Memory of Mirage," and Mirage was an iconic Queens. He was actually Long Island, but he had Queens, and he was actually like iconic bomber from there. And when he passed away, there was this piece that ran forever. It was like, and it was in memory of Mirage. And Tony actually did that with a couple people out there, and that was kind of our bonding.
What was Tony's street
Site, SITE, KDM crew.
Oh, okay. So you knew who Sight was, but you didn't know who
I didn't know who Sight was, but I knew he was, a graffiti, because I'm so dumb that, like, I didn't realize there was a whole, bunch of different cliques. Like, I didn't know about skateboarding until we started really Alife, and then I was like, oh shit, there's a whole crew of skate kids, because we were always graffiti. That was it, like narrow-minded, and that was it. And so when we came to Manhattan for work and started Alife up, and then I really kind of like,
Yeah. Okay, so the guys all met there, and Tammy was there too.
Tammy was Arnaud's wife, so she was there, and just came, So basically what happened is...
how did it germinate?
So it germinated, we worked under this art director, and the art director was always like, okay, guys, I have an opportunity, because after Sportswear, we would go to work at another studio with him. He was like, I have an idea, I have all these clients, I have... let's take example. I have BIC, BIC. We're going to put a proposal together. I want you guys to come up with a proposal, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to get them to do a big advertorial in the magazine. And so we used to go after work, and we would go to this studio, which was one of Guillaume's partners, and we would do these, decks that were basically
pitch decks,
pitches, and from Levi's to BIC to Revlon to whoever it was, and he was getting all of this work, and we were like, "This is our work."
These are our ideas.
He was doing nothing except selling them. And basically...
which is a job. Selling it is a job.
100%. It was his connections and it was his know-how in the industry. But these are all stepping stones that you learn, you know. And, I was at Sportswear for 8 years.
Wow.
So that was like, starting from nothing and then learning. And, and this was the heyday of like, really fashion photographers, like, before the computer era. And that kind of taught me really like... Because I had my own, I've always been like artistic and paint and blah, blah, blah. But that kind of taught me a classic, design sense.
eye, yeah.
And he was such a fucking hard ass about work that like, so I have that kind of ingrained in me also. So I have this classic aesthetic, but I also have this abstract contemporary shit,
Plus the street shit, yeah.
And so that was it. Basically we used to, Tony, myself, Arnaud, used to do these pitches and this guy would sell them. And after a while, we're like, fuck this shit. We're like, we should be doing this. And that's what we did. And we said, you know what, we're going to fucking start, we're going to start an agency, or not even an agency. We're going to start this, we're going to get a space, a cheap fucking rent. We're going to start it. And that's going to be an element of what we do, is this creative stuff. So Arnaud was from 3 generations of footwear. So his specialty was always, footwear. That was his like...
it's in his blood.
It was in his blood. It was what he knew. It was, his family, his father did it, his grandfather did it. And so when we finally decided that we were going to do something, new, we're going to create this space, that was an element. Arnaud brought in the footwear, which we didn't want to step on anybody's toes that were currently doing anything. Futura and Stash had Recon
and Nort, yeah.
And Supreme, Union, whatever. That was, and 555, I think. Like, there was really not that much, and there was nothing. Well, these guys were on, I forgot, Eldridge, and then we ended up on Orchard Street, just because of the cheapy rent,
Yep.
And that was it. It was a space that we were kind of unsure of what it was going to be.
Nort came after.
Nort came after. Recon was around.
Yeah.
Which is like the shoe version of Recon.
Right.
Recon was not shoes. Nort was shoes.
Yes.
Recon was
Subwear.
it was Stash and Futura and Blue.
First acronym account.
That was it. It was just like these guys doing what they did fashion-wise.
Why did you guys decide to open a storefront ground level office, whereas you could have just rented a room in a building?
You skipped over the name. How'd you get the name?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question too. Let's go to that
That's
first.
not even the name actually was like, we had so much conversation and fucking trying to figure out, and fuck, man, I don't even really I don't have a story about the name other than that the initial name when we started was Artificial Life.
Okay.
And that was kind of where it was based upon, and then when it started becoming like time to figure out like signage, and like it was so fucking long that it got shortened down to Alife. But
Is that the story you heard?
That's the story I remember, but I remember it being like, I was told, I think either by Arnaud or whatever, that was like, Tony was like, we were around a round table and everyone was like, we got to come up with something or something, fucking smoking weed or something, and it was like, Alife, that's what it's going to be, and that was it.
yeah,
like, whatever.
it was like a very long process, but at the end of the day, it was something that like wasn't a real kind of like, didn't really mean anything in actuality, but to us, it was like the Alife. It was like the good shit, the top of the...
Right.
That was it.
Okay, so why a ground floor store?
That really just happened. We were looking for space and ended up in the Lower East Side, which at the time was just like...
The cheapest thing,
cheap,
right? Yeah.
And it was like, we didn't know what we were doing. We had nobody, giving us any... tips or any of that. Tony's pops had a pizzeria, so he had a kind of retail experience, so
Right.
he helped us actually, when we found the actual spot, he helped kind of just like, we demoed the thing, or we did everything really just on our own, but he was like there to help with the all the cabinetry and the flooring and all this and that.
Do you remember financially, like how much you guys saved up to quit Sportswear International?
Yeah, everybody put in $15,000.
Okay.
4 people.
It's amazing.
4 times 15, and that budget was for rent, to build out the store, to buy inventory, and just
do that today.
It's crazy.
Everything, computers, and get the place running.
And pay yourself, which probably didn't happen.
Didn't last. No, so we weren't really paying ourselves. But so this is the history of Alife is like, so part of it was a store, right? Part of it had product that we didn't have any accounts. I went to Japan first time in my life with my boy that worked FedEx. He was like, you want to go to Japan? I was like, okay. You know, he put a backpack, I put a backpack, and we went to Japan not knowing anybody and didn't speak, you know, it was like fucking lost. That was my first culture shock when I went to Japan the first time. And I had $3,000, I believe, was my budget to go shop.
And bring back to New York to sell.
And bring back.
Okay.
So that was really it. So I went, you know, and brought a bunch of crazy shit that I found in Japan that, you know, I've always been into. So some of it was, you know, these Domokin dolls and shit that I hadn't really seen, you know, and just kind of brought shit back. And that was one element of the store, was this stuff that nobody had really seen from a different, you know, country.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have a salary, but we had the store, which was full of this crazy product. Not only that kind of shit, art supplies, footwear, weirdy shit. And then on the top, you know, the second level of the floor was the creative agency.
Yeah.
And that was what allowed Alife to happen, basically. So we were doing, you know, creative work that was generating money while we were learning and understanding retail
and branding.
Yeah.
What was the first, do you remember the first client that paid you money as Alife?
The first client, I think, was, I want to say it was Elle Magazine launched a girls publication. I think it was Elle Girls or something like that. And so we were doing work for that kind of shit. You know, nothing that was really, you know, the money was good and the money allowed us to like do what we were doing. But that was, you know, our first lesson of, you know, we had contracts and this and that. And something happened down the road, maybe like, you know, 3 or 4 issues in. And they were like, you know, we had like maybe signed up for like a year or something contract. And they were like, you know what, we're breaking the contract. And we were like, you can't break the contract. We have a contract. They were like, fuck you, you know? And we were like, have no money. And that was our first real lesson, when it was like, if you don't have money to fight,
A contract means nothing.
Yeah, it means nothing. And that was really like our first lesson of like getting fucked, you know? And but it was great. But you know, so that's the kind of odd jobs and shit like that. But Mass Appeal was the first one of our first gigs, and it wasn't for money. It might have been for a tiny bit of money, I forgot, but it was really just for us to control the content of the magazine, and we gave ourselves the back page spread, which was our advertisement. But really, it was bringing all of the content, because at the time there was no Instagram, there was no social media.
You were designing the whole magazine?
We were designing the magazine.
For almost nothing?
For nothing, because the magazine was not a magazine. It was a stapled together graffiti rag.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
But you designed it even when it was really nice, too.
No, when we started designing it is when we started turning it into a magazine.
Okay.
Really, it was really just a stapled together.
It was like a zine. Yeah.
And that was it. You know, the real beauty of it is those 10 or however many issues we did that was the original Alife content, from the people to the, you know, it was all people surrounding us that we were somehow involved with.
Yeah.
So that was like the newsletter.
Word.
Before the internet.
Those are good days, good times. I want to remark on 2 memories that I have of Alife, and maybe this will spur some like memories for you too. One of them is the first time I ever saw the concept of a Nike Tier Zero. Okay, so you know what that is, but Nike Tier Zero existed in a very organic form prior to the term of this distribution channel, where I assume somebody would identify a shop like Alife and put interesting product in. I remember when I saw the wovens, the Nike Air Woven for the first time was in your store, and I was blown away that this fucking thing in the cut of Orchard Street had like this most innovative Nike. And me, because I'm sort of like a brand whore guy, I was trying to connect the dots of like, why would Nike go so deep into the cut of NYC to give this one shop this most innovative, futuristic looking shoe?
Yeah.
Do you remember the story of, like, I want to know how Nike gave you the Air
The
Wovens?
story was, so Alife was early on, you know, and Alife had started to bubble because of the content of the shop, because it was, you know, another element. So just to break down the elements, it was footwear was one of the focal points of Alife from the get-go. Art was one of the focal points from the get-go, because even before we opened the doors of Alife, I had called a meeting between all boroughs of graffiti people that while we were in construction, not open yet. So we probably had about 50 people, you know, 50 writers that were, it was an open call. It was like, you know, graffiti's a fucking hard thing to play with because it's a lot of drama and people fucking don't like people.
Clicks and
but
shit, yeah.
The invitation was everybody come. It was in the Lower East Side, and that was kind of like fair game for everybody to come to. You know, it was like there is crews from the LES, but it was like everybody, you know, came. So it was Brooklyn, Bronx kids, Queens, you know, Long Island, anywhere around. And the conversation was that anybody that had anything of interest, whether it was furniture, whether it was somebody making ink in their closet at home, like KR, whether it was, you know, Espo and Reese fucking making, you know, this weird shit. It was just an open call to anybody that was kind of like down to put shit in the public. And so, so the initial Alife, when we first opened the doors, we had a big piece on the wall that was 360 canvases, and it was tags of all different people. So we had that element from jump, which was like the
Instant
art
gallery
element. So there was gallery, there was creative agency, there was store, and at the time, there was none of this shit happening, really. It was like, you're going to go to a store, you know? You're not going to walk into a place and then all of a sudden you see art supplies, you see fucking inks and industrial markers that people didn't know what the fuck it was. There was, you know, Marsh ink, which is really just industrial shit that people were buying just for the packaging because it looked nice, you know? So there was like this weird mix of product and content happening in this space, and it started to bubble. And little by little, people were coming, you know, brands such as Adidas, such as Nike, were starting to send people to
employees, like their designers and stuff, right?
Whoever they were like, you know, 10 people from Nike at a clip, you know, and they would come with little notebooks and they would be looking in the showcases and writing shit down and looking on the wall and writing notes. And this would happen a lot. And no talk back and forth, no, oh, hi, we're from Nike, you know, no, it's just taking from what the culture, taking from what was happening and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so at one point, Arnaud basically was like, fuck you, get out of the store and don't come back until you have something that you want to talk about. And that was the catalyst that brought Nike back. It was somebody big from Wyden and somebody big from Nike came with a little duffel bag and they said, can we talk? And we said, yeah, definitely, you know, let's. And there was a guy named Drew Greer, which was, you know, a catalyst to early Nike shit. He's the one that made the Wu-Tang Dunk happen. He was like the beginning of Nike's co-branding. And so he was part of this, but they came upstairs with this little black bag and they said, we want to show you something. And they put it on the table and they opened it up and they pull out this Air Woven, but we didn't know what the fuck it was. It was a sneaker woven. And they're like, this, we just learned this, you know, we went to Vietnam and we sat with the, you know, the tribal people that make these shoes out of reeds of, you know, grass. And we took this and we came up with this sneaker and it's called the Air Woven. And we were like, holy fuck, like that's dope. Like the sneaker just looked like nothing we had seen, you know? And we were selling footwear and we were selling weird footwear. We were selling, you know, camper and brands that were like trickers, like a weird mix, like, you know, of classic and of like kind of contemporary shit, but for young men, you know? So we saw this and we were like, wow, that's bugged out. And Nike was like, you know, okay, we have 48 pairs, or it was like 48 pairs or 64 pairs or some shit, some real small amount. They're like, we want to launch this with you guys and see how it does. You know, we just want you guys to have this and sell it and see what happens, introduce it. And so we took it. Thank you, you know, thank you, Nike. Like, let's see what happens. We took the shoe, and you know, nobody knows this other than insiders. Is that you probably don't even know.
Do you have
shit.
the Airwoven?
Yeah.
Do you have the first ones?
Black and white?
From Alife?
From Alife?
I think I bought them at Alife, but what are you
Okay.
going to say?
The first, all of the first pairs of Airwovens that we took, we gave the shoes to Espo. I don't know if it was Espo and Reese, definitely Espo. And every one of the insoles got taken out, and Espo has fucking artwork on every pair of the first Airwovens.
Right?
So whoever has the first Airwovens,
Under the insole.
Yep, take
No
the
one
insole
knows.
out. And we never told anybody this or nothing. So whoever has the first pairs of Airwovens from Alife can look on the insoles. And 20 years later, I've never seen fucking anything pop up anywhere.
Because they don't even know.
Because they don't know.
People probably got rid of them at this point.
Yeah, they're probably gone. But so that was a little twist that we had. So Espo did all of them. We put them back and we sold them. And basically, that was the first time that we saw the interest of people lining up outside for a product. And I don't know how these people knew that we had it, but it was like, you know, word on the street, whatever. And they were gone very quick. And that was the beginning of our relationship with Nike amongst many other brands, that we became this kind of test platform, you know. So from that, you know, Airwoven, that happened numerous times. Then it was fucking foam-posite clogs. Then it was, you know, these fucking Nike police boots with flashlights in them. It was like just test product that we were just getting laced and
giving to you for free.
Yeah, and just, you know, and seeding, you know, putting out there.
You get the sales of the shoes in exchange. They get the intel.
They get the intel and they get the, you know, they get the hype of being part of this thing.
You know what I love about this is that, like, nowadays you have Stadium Goods, StockX, Tier Zero is like a Nike Sportswear is like $1 billion organization of itself, right? Yeah. But what I love is that, you know, you mentioned Drew Greer and stuff like this started out as two people going up to your office with a duffel bag of shoes.
Yeah, and this was before the sneaker craze.
Drew was in here the other day. He was talking about,
Yeah.
he was in here the other day talking about how, like, these dudes don't know how the Wu-Tang shit came out. He'd be another good dude to interview, but mad stories.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Y'all can send thank you cards over to Alife for starting the hype shit from day one. If you didn't know before, now you know, straight from the horse's mouth. Alife is truly one of the originators. It's important to hear their story because it not only opens up a window into a very special time to when sneaker craze was growing and today's streetwear was really just shaping, but it shows the behind the scenes of how it all really began. It wasn't normal for there to be major release queues. There wasn't $1 million budget or a celebrity cosign. There were no bots or online raffles. Even today's prototypical artist stamp of approval was just an Easter egg for them. That woven story blows my mind. Like many of the great brands we hear from on Business of Hype, Alife came from a need. The need to own their work and their own ideas. A need to really maximize the creativity they have and the potential that they could do with it. They didn't set out to create a subculture for the sake of a marketing campaign. They were the subculture. This was all purely organic, not stifled by big teams and bureaucracy. And most importantly, it was new, totally undefined and non-existent before them. Only a small handful of key heads were trying to figure it all out and bouncing ideas off each other. That's what the culture was all about. A lot of what is done now can be attributed to Alife's experience with these Tier Zero drops. Although we may now be on version 20.0 of footwear and retail, they laid the foundation. Show me a store who doesn't have a piece of Alife DNA in them. Also, For those of you who have those original Airwovens from Alife, flip those insoles over and show me what you find. I need to see this for myself. Can I say the other anecdotal story that I remember? Levi's.
Oh.
The Levi's collaboration that you guys did and the launch event and the different colors of the denim and then changing the label and all that shit, like that to me back then as a fan was
2004.
Like so
Next level.
It's sad because now it's like step and repeat.
It's terrible.
But back then it was like mind blown over and over again.
Well, it's really great because that, so that is a big, part of Alife is like we like to play with brands that have relevance to us, not because they're fucking trending, not because they're on every social media site. Back then I grew up wearing Levi's 501s. That was the first time Levi's America ever put another brand's name on their brand ever.
Yeah.
So since then there's been,
of course,
it's been murdered. This whole game, this whole game is dead. I mean, people are trying, but that's the great thing is right now, like I still love what we do because like you got to evolve and mix it up. So for us, the brands that we work with even now, they're not trend worthy. It's very hard for retailers to take the stuff that we're making and understand, Lee jeans, for example, is something that we're messing with now. Very similar to Levi's back then. But Lee jeans, when I was growing up in New York as a b-boy breakdancer, whatever, Lee jeans was what people wore. You'd go to the fucking Army and Navy store. They had a whole wall of every color, pinstripes, and this was part of your outfit growing up.
Right.
And that was my first recollection of when I started to care about what I wore. I needed Lee. Yeah. And so we approached Lee almost 2 years ago or whatever, and we're like, can we talk about doing something? And they were like, yeah, and they're like, it's been like, pulling, it's been such a crazy project. It's like, I went to Kansas City and dug through fucking 2 floors of a fucking warehouse to find the 80s shit because they weren't even,
they don't even know what they got.
They were like, so just the whole experience of like, and it's only because it's personal to us, it's like, I want to do this. It's not, and so it's very hard, it means stuff to us and it means stuff to our core people, you know. Outside of that, it's like these retailers will look at it and say, Lee? No, you could get Lee in fucking Walmart or wherever. Like it has no,
It's not hot.
It's very hard, and it's that's kind of been the history of what we've done. A lot of the products that we touch, it's been a little bit,
off, like
before
weird.
the curve,
right? And then Trey, when did you join?
I came in 2005.
Okay,
so like November, literally like I remember spending probably like a month there, and then the blackout happened. The blackout, I think. Yeah. No, actually, no, it was the teacher strike. No, the MTA strike. The MTA strike happened. Tony and I walked over the bridge together, and then literally the next day he left the company. And that was, I had like a month to work with Tony, and that was it. So I came on, essentially, I used to work for Russell Simmons doing like footwear marketing, going around. And so I was able to like meet like G&S and from Pata and the guys from, Soulbox, Hickmick and like Magdi at Slam and Kicks, and, like met all these dudes like doing the Fat Farm stuff, like trying to push like the Fat Classic. They had like a moment in time. Yeah. And then he sold Fat Farm to Kelwood in 2004, and it just wasn't fun. And I was gonna like leave and do a sneaker store, and my wife, girlfriend at the time, was working at Echo and knew this dude, Matt Fontana, was a dude that fucking we can't stand, or I'm over it now, but whatever. And and he brought me into the mix. Like he was on board at Alife. He left Seth Gersberg and Mark Echo, came on board to Alife to kind of like help like build it and grow from a business angle. And then they needed somebody on the sneaker side. So I came on basically to focus on Rivington Club. And then from there evolved, I think Demani had just left essentially to go to Flight Club. and I
Oh
came
man,
on.
I don't remember Domaney being part of Alife.
So
That's crazy.
just to backtrack
Yeah.
a minute, just so when we first sold the Airwoven, that first initial line of people is that day is the day that we said we are going to open up a boutique sneaker store.
Really?
Yeah. And so
That's when you made the decision to open Rivington Club.
that was 2000.
Wow.
So that's when
And then when did Rivington Club open?
2001.
Okay.
So that was before there was any of this shit. You know, that was like really the jump start of the whole sneaker craze.
Yeah.
And the Rivington, you know, back then was that was it. It was like this limited product, but then it was that eclectic, you know.
And elevated to a new level.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
if you're listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about, I suggest you Google image search the original Alife store on Orchard, because
Wow.
even to this day, it's like, that's a beautiful fucking space, you know? And then, of course, I think Rivington Club, a lot of people have seen that on a mood board somewhere.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
because that definitely like,
Bodega definitely saw it.
yeah.
Jay, shout out Jay.
But that's crazy. So Domaney was there.
So Domaney actually was one of the employees at Rivington Club.
David
you know?
Z first.
Yeah. So, you know, these are just kids that
Kids.
were interested
Yeah.
in sneakers particularly. And,
Yep.
you know, and then the whole fucking sneaker craze happened. And,
Yeah.
you know, but Domaney was with us for a good amount of time. Were you there when Domaney was there?
No,
You
I
came right
literally
after?
it was like, you know, it was a mess, and then Sneaker John was there, and then I came on. But like, I mean, just, you know, us being here now and this talk, like, it was, you know, funny story, but like when I came on, we knew Kevin Ma, knew Kevin and David, and literally all these different guys were on like these blogs, and like literally the way we disseminate information was just like emailing, you
Yeah.
know. And then we got on to Nike. When I came in the store was like essentially like a little bit chaotic. It was a mess. Like the inventory was crazy. You know, product wasn't flowing right, and like, it was just like the relationship with Nike to like get
Yeah.
back on track to like, you know, like let us know, flow things through, and you know, we kind of like turning stuff out, we were doing things, but then, you know, we were like literally like disseminating information over to like Kevin, who was like the direct point of contact, right, or like David at HYPEBEAST, whatever, and was it Gavin, right, was like showing
Gavin
us through
Thomas,
all
yeah.
this product at
Yep.
fucking Nike, and you know, we were like, and definitely something I shouldn't have done, but we took this product and like I emailed it to Kevin. Right, and like, you know, shouldn't have done it, whatever. I think we got it and ignored we were getting it, or maybe even you guys got it. I don't even remember who got it, right? But like, it was like 2 stores that got it,
Yeah.
right? And then like,
Do you remember which shoe you're talking about right now?
I can't remember. It was like definitely like probably an Air Force One or something like crazy, whatever. This was definitely like 06.
Yeah.
And this was like when they would post anything. Like, I remember sometime we changed our carpet to purple. They posted it.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
know.
And it was just like, here.
Yeah.
So then I sent him this stuff, and then they put it up, and I get a call from Gavin. He's like, hey, I'm not accusing you of anything, but just want to kind of like, I don't know if you could possibly see about like, getting in trouble, but like, we only showed this thing to 2 people, and you know, they said it wasn't them. So I was like, weird. Like, let me make a call, you know, whatever. And then hit up Kevin, and he's like, I'll take it down, right? And then like Gavin hit me up like an hour later, like, dude, I don't know how that happened. I'm not gonna ask any questions, but it's down. Thank you. And then he's like, oh, by the way, do you have his email? Right? And like I like introduced the 2 of them.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take credit for like introducing Gavin and Nike to HYPEBEAST or whatever, but like, you know, I introduced
No,
Kevin
but it
and
kind
them.
of goes to show how crazy this world.
They didn't know.
They just had no
Like,
ins.
Nike didn't know how to get through. Like, it was
To
nothing.
Hypebeast, yeah.
It was like, it was crazy. And then, you know, I don't even know if people knew that he was in. It wasn't. I think at the time maybe he was in Vancouver operating.
Yes.
And not in here. So it was still
Yeah.
like time zone was like kind of
Right.
that worked in a way. And then, but whatever. Yeah. So it was that. And then
Wait, but so you just admitted to the person who leaked it?
I definitely did. I definitely leaked it. Yeah. But I was.
that-
I mean,
yeah.
back then it was like.
I think the statute of limitations over. You're fine now. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we don't even have a Nike account, so whatever.
Right.
But I mean, there was no rules back then. Really, the same. Like, we literally like great marketed product with Sarah from Colette, like traded shoes with G from Pata. Like, we're buying stuff, and like there was no segmentation. The product was much better, right? Like I
Yeah.
could, like G couldn't sell Jordans, right? Like Pata, they could, you know. So I'm like, give me all 200 of your Jordan 4s.
Yeah.
Here's
Air
200 of these
Maxes.
Air Maxes
Yeah,
I don't
exactly,
need. Right?
yeah.
We're just like, and it worked. And we'd pay
Right.
extra money. The freight didn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't at this whole $300 shit. It was like we could sell $200 of a fucking shoe at like $20 over retail, and it
Yeah.
was like no, the guys weren't really like, they knew the sales guys, and it wasn't like, don't do it.
Yeah.
The only stickler they had, which was don't put it online, right? And like back then we were like killing it. We didn't give a fuck about online really. And then
back then,
it started to turn to a point where like the only people, and you know, they're my friends, Peter and Eric, but like the only people that were allowed, they were allowed early to have an online store, right? They got
sneakers and stuff.
Sneakers and stuff. Yeah, sorry. So they got an online store probably in like, I want to say 2006 or 7, right? And they got the okay to have the store, and they had their struggles like all of us did, right? We're like, but the online store enabled them to ship, right?
Yeah.
www. Right? So they can go everywhere worldwide, and next thing you know, like whatever, right? They, like growth, and like no one ever in America could get the okay to
sell online. Yeah.
So like they had the competitive advantage. Like beyond everyone, right? And then like the right things, and like so you know, they got
them now.
9 stores around the world, right? So like whoever in Nike Sweden gave the okay globally to do it.
I think it helped that they were so remote. Like they weren't New York, LA, Tokyo, Paris.
Yeah,
like, oh,
absolutely.
Sweden. And back then the internet wasn't World Wide Web necessarily. It was like, oh yeah, you want to make it convenient for your Swedish customers.
Right. That's
all
it.
right.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
hurt, you know.
But they weren't only selling, you know, whatever. But like shout out
But
to
you know
them.
that insight that you said where it's like, you know, Jordans weren't moving in Pata, Air Maxes weren't moving here. Unbeknownst to Nike, that is information that like you were kind of like telling them on the low. You weren't putting it into a report, but they could see like, oh wow, Jordans move heavy in Harlem and in New York, but not in Europe. Like now next year, let's, you know, flip the script on it. You know what I mean? Like, so that information is priceless.
And then too, like back then we would, you know, pick their brains on everything. I mean, Udi would, you know, I remember they had meetings. We'd come up and we'd sit with like Julian when he was there, Khan, would like, you know, they'd pick our brains about what's working, what's not. And we'd sit down and we, you know, because we needed to get fed. Like that was big money. I mean, you know, like, so then a lot of times it was often, it was like, we're going to give this to Nord or Reed Space to get this time or, and we were all there, right? Like it was, I mean, it was beautiful because like back then everybody was there. It was like the guys that, not the guys that mattered, but whatever, it was Alife, Rivington Club. So people do the circuit, they'd go to Nord, they'd come over to you, and then, you know, you go, Stussy was further west, and
Union,
Supreme was further west, Union. And Union back then wasn't really crushing it with sneakers. Like mostly, like they'd have the odd court force or whatever. But like, I think sneakers then was mostly east, in my opinion. Like, and then you had Broadway, right? But like,
which is the mainstream stuff,
right. And that was like it didn't mean anything. And then
active warehouse,
yeah. But whatever it was, and then it, you know, game changed. But like I remember, we used to order like 200 pairs of Air Force One whites and like just sell them in a month and a half. Not even like shipping them out in boxes. Like dudes would just be like, I need another pair. But like, you can only sell 200 pairs of like a Yeezy today, you know, or a Virgil Off-White. But like, you're not selling like a Blazer just regular today.
No one is. No,
it's not happening.
Alife Rivington Club was a game changer on its own. It may seem like a no-brainer today, but the approach in visual merchandising to flip the perception of sneakers on its head to become high-end and luxury was revolutionary. And look where we are today. And as for Treis, what an interesting time for him to start, because that's when the sneaker industry really started to take shape. Very important shops were open at the moment, and these marquee stores around the world were in communication and trading stock back and forth. You would never catch that happening today. But again, this just shows how much this was all new to everyone. What's wild to hear is how much Alife was more than just a store. But it makes total sense. I mean, they started as a creative studio in the beginning, a purveyor of goods, and a holder of very valuable and unique customer information. It really was a life that everyone wanted to learn about. While many follow the industry today, Alife was without a doubt helping to shape it. They carved themselves out a very unique position during a time when very few influential shops were around. I remember first visiting the Rivington Club and thinking that this was like the new nightclub. First, you had to be buzzed into the store, and sometimes you had to wait a long time to finally gain access. Then once inside, you were transported to another time. I gotta say, intimidation was definitely a factor in the experience. You were looking at higher-than-thou product in a higher-than-thou retail environment. Then, the courtyard in the back of the store was where the insane shit would go down. Concerts, shows, screenings, events. I remember standing there one time for a Just Blaze event, looking up at the LES sky above and thinking, man, What a time to be alive. Thank you, Alife. I want to get into a question that I don't know if you feel okay talking about, but we're sitting in the room with just 2 people right now. You mentioned there were 4 partners. So there was eventually a point where Tony left, Arnaud left, and Tammy left. Can you talk about how founders leave the thing that they founded? Like, and maybe each story is a little bit different, but can you recount like when the divorce happened?
It's actually funny because...
Oh, is it funny? Okay.
I mean, well, it's just like, all of this stuff, you don't plan for it. It's basically nobody really telling you. It's really learning it all from experience, any of the shit that we've done. So Tammy and Arnaud were married, Tammy was like, fuck this life, It's too crazy. It's like, it's a very stressful life, like having your own business and trying to survive and feed, and at a certain point, relatively, early on, I want to say probably around 2003, 2002, 2003, Tammy was like, I'm done. And
I'm done with Alife, or I'm done also with Arnaud?
I'm done. Everything. I'm leaving America. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it was just like,
She hit the eject button.
It was just on, and Tammy was like, I have somebody that's buying my shares of the company.
Interesting.
And I was like, cool. We were like,
you have a new partner.
Okay. And our new partner was Demaney. She got rid of her shares to Demaney, and that was the beginning of...
Demaney was an employee at the time, right?
Yes.
But without your knowledge,
No.
she sold the shares to an employee.
Yeah.
Crazy shit.
So it's crazy, but you know what? This is fucking a bunch of kids getting
deal.
into fucking business. And like, you know what? Power to Tammy, because she made some fucking money.
Yeah.
You know what?
Right.
Good for her. So at the time,
And Demaney's not a bad partner.
Demaney was good.
Yeah.
Demaney was doing his thing, like fucking hustling, and Demaney, as long as you're a hustler out here,
Right.
you're okay.
Right, right.
So that was our first introduction to partnership and kind of,
Yeah. All of you made it off of Orchard to Rivington Club, correct? Together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tammy left after Rivington Club opened. Who was the next to go?
The next to go was Tony.
Uh-huh. And what was the reason for that?
Tony had recently had a kid, and this game, you're constantly hunting for your food. Basically, like,
Yeah. If you rest, you don't eat.
This was before Supreme was making multi-millions, and everybody was going nuts. This was like early on when you had to work hard. We had 4 partners that were splitting anything. So like, Tony had a kid, and Tony just was like, yo, this shit is serious right now. I'm fucking scared. I need to go secure like some work.
Yeah.
So that was the next one. Was Tony was just like, I have to like try to figure my life out, and this independent, crazy fucking life that we're living is just hard.
And so it's you, Arnaud. You're there now, but you're not.
I'm not there. I'm not in the picture. No, when Tony left, I was in the picture.
Yeah.
So
You just got there.
Tony left in 05, I want to say. We have to check with him, but I'm pretty sure 05. I got there in like, basically like, I remember it being like a craze, like early November, and then it was like Christmas and sales were crazy and whatever.
Okay.
So whenever the MTA strike was like right in that zone.
And then Demaney's a partner. Okay.
Yeah.
Demaney's gone in 04.
Oh.
Yeah. Demaney left as quick as he came. He left in 04 to go secretly do
Flight Club.
Flight Club.
Yeah. Flight
Right.
Club started then.
Yeah.
So
He saw money in the resale.
yeah.
I mean, they was doing it
He's a
there.
smart-
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, I just want to know, how did Demaney get rid of his shares? Or he just walked?
Demaney, I'm fucking trying to think, bro. I'm like,
You pushed him to Rivington Club.
He what?
He ended up being Rivington Club only.
Yeah.
And
okay.
focus on Rivington Club.
The
Yeah.
business of Alife Rivington Club,
Right.
not
It
Alife,
was
the whole
separate,
thing.
two
Yeah.
separate companies.
Yeah.
Then Rivington Club, Demaney had talked whatever all the time. He just left.
Yeah.
I mean, Demaney, meanwhile, like was like, he's a hustler, but like buy. It was reselling today, right? So he'd buy shoes at $100.
Yes.
And like he'd buy them at the store, and then he's like taking them on his.
Ask that question.
He'd take them on his site and fucking sell them for.
So he was doing
200.
that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
like
this
it
was
like
the beginning of all this shit.
yeah.
Right.
That was it.
Yeah.
And to you guys, you're like, I mean, they're selling. I don't
Yeah.
care if they sell to him
Yeah.
and he's flipping
Yeah,
them.
but they had no interest in sneakers at all, right? Like the sneakers, like what the world loves today, and like everyone geeks out over. There was no fascination or interest in any of that really on their side.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
what it turned into was like, you know, not what it initially was, you know, when we first started the shit. It's just like, I mean, it's great what it is now. It's, you know, it's the defining, it's really what's happening.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
like
kind
the
of dead
pinnacle.
too. It's like, to me, it's flat.
because you're a
That's the
retailer.
conversation. But whatever.
Okay, so continue if you can.
I mean,
you and Arnaud now.
Me and Arnaud. So then we started to look for cash, basically. A customer basically came in the store and was like, how do you do? I'm from Canada. I got a lot of money and I'm interested in like, you know, in, it wasn't partnering, but it was like, I'm interested in Alife.
Like
And-
franchising?
Yeah,
Like opening an Alife in Vancouver.
Canada.
Yeah.
And that's how kind of that conversation started. And he became a partner also.
Okay.
It was really about survival. And it was like getting the money however we could get it
Yeah.
to maintain,
Yeah.
you know,
Keep the lights on, literally.
to maintain our brand, even though at times it was very, you know, flatline. Like, I mean, the whole game has gone up and down, and t-shirt brands, a slew of them, you know, and then the economy tanked and they're all gone other than the cream of the crop. It's like, you know, just the longevity and being able to like navigate, you know, how by any means necessary to keep shit going is basically what I'm still doing here. Is basically because it's been,
We had 9 lives for sure.
It's incredible that y'all still
get rich or
here.
get the fuck out. You know?
I mean, for the same thing, for like people listening to this and like being in business, we had really no clue. And I think that streetwear wasn't like today. If we had the momentum like now that we had then, like people would have been like, here's 10 mil, let's go, you know, like whatever, but like, or whatever, here's $3 million, let's like rock out. And like an engine would be put behind us to get going. But like back then it was Fat Farm and Echo and, you know, whatever, like the you know, the hundreds or something. Like, like it wasn't like, no one was, Alife was like, it's cool, but you can't put that shit in Macy's. Like you can't get that shit in fucking, you know, transit and, you know, whatever. Right. So like the guys weren't there for the money. So like, you know, we had to try to get creative with like where to get money. Sometimes it was fucking, so a manufacturing deal. Like, you know, we partnered with CYC, Craig Atkinson and those guys on a manufacturing relationship. And sure enough, every relationship that we got into was just like a shit scenario, right? So like we had to buy our way out of that. So that cost us more money. We're in it for like 18 months, two years. And next thing you know, we're buying our way out of the fucking contract.
Yeah, it was
a nightmare.
It was a lot of mistakes made, but it was really all to further the brand, really, you know?
Kick the can down the road.
That's it. So
how many, I mean, of those bad deals did you guys have?
probably 3.
The biggest bad deal and detriment to the business really was like a deal that we signed with our chart, like our footwear partner and Japan. And that was really the one that like hurt the most in my opinion. Because like, because we did, I mean, it was a deal signed in perpetuity. So like
You're still in it.
Well, now we finally spent enough money and whatever, just out of it.
Wow.
But like he didn't want to let us out. So like,
is this a Japanese person, like company?
Yeah, he's Japanese. He's from Japan, but he was also doing the footwear. Right. So he was doing the footwear, and then that was cool. Then we took on the idea to like one of the big things that hits was like right around 2008. We took on the idea that we're going to be the distributors for Alife footwear in the U.S. Even though he was a licensee, he could have done it. We wanted to kind of like control the distribution flow, whatever. And it wasn't us. It was like another individual was like running the business. And long story short, we couldn't. This was like basically right around the time of the crash, the global crisis. And everybody, like Nike was calling their credit, like, you know, to us, like we need our money. Like we had like $600,000 in credit. Nike didn't give a fuck. Like we weren't paying attention. Like it didn't matter. You know, like they're like, oh, you're paying your bill. And then we, at the same time, we didn't know who to go, and we had no like accounts receivable department. We didn't know how to go collect money. It was like literally like, hey, what's up, bro? Can you pay this week? Oh, I got you next week. And I was like, oh, he said he got us next week. And it was like 2 months later, and like we got $1 million out in fucking shoes, and we can't collect. And then so our forward, like we had to pay our licensee to still get paid on our royalty for the shoes. And he was like, can't pay my mill. I can't pay your royalty. And like that was like, every quarter it was like $60,000, $70,000 was coming in cliffs. It was good money. Yeah. And like, so the offset, right, they stopped. And we're like, you can't stop. We can't make designs. And it was snowballed from there.
Yeah. So it's been a constant, lesson of, business basically. Yeah. Learning the hard way.
For every up, there's a down. For every amazing, groundbreaking celebration, there's a mistake that could cost everything just waiting around the corner. There can be internal conflicts and a split in partners or bad deals that progressively turn worse, and even economic downturns that's beyond anyone's control. The impressive thing is that Rob and Trey went through it all. Partners with differing opinions, partners who walked out, partners who just wanted to run the brand in the ground. It's a real eye-opener to hear about because we're never privy to a lot of these conversations and what happens behind closed doors. So learn from what they went through previously for Alife, because every single instance is something that could potentially happen to you. A common theme we've heard about when it comes to business partners on this podcast is the importance of mutual understanding. It's a business, so money is a reality, but what's vital is understanding what each person brings to the table. You can't have the money and expect to run the brand if you don't have the energy and know-how of the industry and the culture or the customer base that the brand is tapped into. Nor can you run a brand with all the know-how, but with no capital or business acumen. It's really about having that balance of cash and craft. Who you want to partner with is important, but it doesn't stop there. How much creative freedom are you allowed? What is the reason to partner? What will come out of it? All areas Rob and Trey had to learn and correct on the fly. The good thing is, now you have their story to help guide you and to help give you context on how things really are. I always think partnerships are like relationships. Everything looks great on the first date, right? But a true test of dedication comes when the chips are down and the shit hits the fan. Who is your true ride or die? You're still here.
Still here, and have learned a lot about the industry, and there's the independent people that are doing it, vertical, which there aren't many. Yeah. But that's one model. And then there's, the model of wholesale, which is very trend based and hard to navigate.
And could fall apart at any time.
At any time, so I don't know if we should fast forward to where we are now.
Yeah, what are you at now?
Our last relationship that we were in, which was another manufacturing relationship with Seth Gersberg. Okay.
Who was Mark Echo's partner at Echo, right?
Yeah. Okay. And Mark Echo on the creative side, we go back to when he was first beginning, and Seth was the business part of that. And so however we ended up together, we got out of that scenario. That took us about
2 years.
That took us about 2 years to get out of that scenario.
So it was a bad scenario.
It was a bad scenario because a lot of times what happens is these people that we end up in these relationships with see the brand name and think that they're gonna all of a sudden fucking open the faucet and fucking think that they're gonna sell it everywhere and make this ton of money. And it's always done wrong, and it never works how they, plan it, and they make a fucking ton of goods. So it just didn't work out for him. His whole operation went haywire. We, thankfully, and with a lot of hard work and perseverance, got the fucking brand away from him. And while we were getting the brand back,
you said that pretty easy.
Yeah, well, we got the brand back. We took distribution away globally from everybody. And, so over a 2 year period, we pretty much stopped everything. Yeah.
kept the store going.
while keeping little fucking bubbly shit, no wholesale, no nothing. Nobody could really get anything other than New York.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Yeah, 100%. While all this crazy shit is happening, and basically, to right now where we've been like, okay, now we're talking to, we brought somebody on for sales that we're targeting, very specific people. So Selfridges or fucking, different projects.
Strategic good ones,
with, with good retailers. And it's different, it's not like the good old days where you have a line sheet and you send the same shit to everybody. It's like so specific now. I feel like it's, each one of these retailers, it's almost something different for each one.
You got to create a line for each one.
So
mad work.
This is the life that we live.
Alife, Rob, and Trey are the epitome of the saying, "The strong will survive." But it's also the perseverance, self-realization, and that take-no-shit attitude that has helped them sustain such longevity. Trey said it earlier, it's like they have 9 lives. I'd like to think it's a continuous work in progress, and the team has been crafting a work of art that happens to come in the form of a brand. They've seen every shift in the industry and almost every conflict with partners that's possible. And that makes it only more amazing that I'm able to sit down and talk shop with them as they do their thing today. The great thing about Alife today is that in many ways, they're what they should have always been and what they're strongest at. A minimal take on only what's best by maximizing the true appeal and inspiration that they have, all rooted in art, graffiti, and design. There are no stockpiles of clothes and random collaborations every week, only the right amount that suggests to me that they are being mindful and methodical to how they want to operate. It's smart, it's different from what they've done, and it's setting them up for the future. In a word, it's Alife all over again. What advice would you give to a kid who says, like, I'm about to get a partner? What would you tell that kid? Trey's just shaking his head.
It's I mean, for me, I know, like, I had to practice and get better at being a good partner too, right? Like, just like
right,
communicating differently. Like, when you have a partnership, you got to be able to flow, and like and speak and do all those things. So like, it's hard. Like, you got to like trust the person, and like not everyone's going to work together, but like honesty and
the tough thing is when you're courting each other. In the early moments,
it always
it's all
like
good.
It's like your girlfriend,
right?
Yeah. It's when you get through like the bad, and then I think whatever happens, even with Rob and I, there's always differences of opinion, right? And then it's like one way the business has to decide to go away, and like which way is it going to go, right? And it's like it's going to go my way or whatever, and it's like we're going to need to go and raise this money, or we don't. We need to make, we need to decide to not make this shoe or do it, and that's when you start to kind of get. I think like a little bit like haywire. But I think the one of the downsides on like having a partnership too is, everybody wants to weigh in, and when there's like one person to decide what to do and where to go, it's like a little bit easier because like if everyone has opinions, like it's a long meeting, you know.
A lot of the partnerships that we got into were because of the necessity of money. So a lot of the people were money, right?
Right.
And that's the deciding factor of a lot of things.
It is business.
And so a lot of the time, a lot of our, this is fucked up, but we would, if we were in disagreement with the way that things were going, and I've been let go of from Alife in the past, not needed,
really?
because of the people that have secured the brand and said, okay, we have the IP, we have the branding, thank you, we're going to make it happen.
Who did that?
Well, whoever. It's been done. It's been done more than once.
You're like Steve Jobs.
But the great thing,
you've been fired from Alife.
The great thing and the power of what we do is that when something like that happens, we shut off what we do, and what we do is what
is the juice,
is the fucking DNA of the brand. So once you fucking think that you're gonna do what you do, and then all of a sudden you have no cultural
Love,
relevance
yeah.
or anything
Word.
of worthwhile, so that's cool. So we shut you off, and it takes at least a year for that to fucking sink in. You know,
They got nothing.
So
yeah.
they're very long, experiences that you have to go and find other shit to do and let it fucking fizzle. And like
Yeah.
our new, relationship that we're in is like, the best place that we've been in 20 years in regards to the ability to go.
Yeah. And
We're-
do what you do.
And now what I like to think of Alife is like a Volkswagen GTI
My favorite car.
with an AMG engine under the hood. That's kind of how it is. It's like we have the means to go now,
Yeah.
and we're just kind of like a sleeper, where people from the outside are looking at, they don't really know what's happening,
Yeah.
but like,
Who are your partners now?
it's a manufacturing,
Okay.
thing to just
They want to
really-
remain private.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just go. Like,
Nice.
footwear, apparel, like whatever we, decide to do. It's like and really just like navigate together. It's been a year, it's been 2 years.
Since 17.
Been since 17
Okay.
that we've been in this
this.
new relationship, and it's been like, structuring it. It's been slowly and gradually building to to where we're headed. So
How does it feel to be removed from your own creation?
it feels bad, of course.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, what are you gonna do with this? And it feels good because both times have been a failure. And both times the investor had to figure out a way out.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the means to make it work.
And both times you got it back.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
what do we have? Do you want to give a sneak preview on like what's going to happen? What is your vision of 20 and beyond?
yeah, I think like smart, meaningful relationships with retailers, smart, reoccurring relationships with brands that like, rather than these one-off co-brands and shit like that, I think it's going to be more of partnerships with these brands and kind of like, building that way. I think the brands that we are going to approach, like the Crocs was kind of the beginning of our step back into the game.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of a fuck you to all the sneaker companies
Yep.
that are dictating what's happening. And the Crocs thing was kind of like, we're doing Crocs because fuck you. You know who you are. We're going to touch, a product that most people, it's been taboo
Yeah.
until somebody else touches it and
Right.
says it's okay.
Yep.
So there's a lot of this shit where like, the people that we're approaching, whether it's brands or other shit, it just needs to have make sense to us and have some kind of meaning,
And you still have Rivington store as a sneaker store.
Yeah. So
And what is your take on the current state of sneaker culture?
I think it's a nightmare, honestly. I think like so we don't have Nike account, which is something we're championing constantly to kind of like, have conversations with the guys there about. But in general, like looking back since 2005 and seeing like there was actual real shoppers, right? Whether online or not, but like people cared about shoes and just having like a regular pair of Chucks or like get that Adidas or that Gazelle or get the Nizza or whatever. Like people shopped. And today I think it's all about like, you could literally close your store on release dates and you'll be fine. Like decide to open up on a release date and it doesn't matter. And, we used to get guys, I remember like Quest, we did the Quest Air Force One. He came in, guys, like kids would camp outside, pizza, it was peaceful, meaningful, like they get to know each other, meet, talking like, oh, I saw you on Nike Talk. It was like, fine. Like guys are like knife fights now and shit. Like, I mean, one of the first times there was like a craze was like your drop with the first fucking pigeon. But like beyond that, there was like, it was chill. It was docile. Like you could like, didn't need to get security. You didn't like, whatever. And now, each brand has got like maybe 10 shoes that they sell well. And then like, you got to go deep on those 10 shoes and hope that you get allocated enough pairs to do
that's
your
the
numbers.
lifeline of your store.
That's it. So like for us,
But then meanwhile, the brand is shoving these 90 other things down your throat.
and you got to buy it. If
You have to
don't,
buy it
if
to
you
get the
don't,
10 good
if you
things,
don't
yeah.
play it, it's like
Yeah.
whatever. It's like a mob thing. Like if you
So
don't
it's a
do
good,
it,
it's a good time to fucking change up. I
Yeah.
think
Are you going to keep the sneaker store going?
Well, we're thinking about the evolution of it, and just because this game is fucking played out, kind of.
Yeah.
The
formula has been figured out.
So-
yeah.
I think the sneaker store is important. I think it's just double down on Alife. Really, it's like
That's the main-
more shit.
That's
and
the
like,
main concern is
push
the
push the
brand.
Alife Rivington Club is there. And I think like we'd love to like have conversations and do whatever and get Nike, but like I think it's all cyclical, and I think something's gonna come back.
Yeah.
Because if you look at like Adidas now, like they're in a spot in our space that's not great. Their collection next season isn't. They're gonna have to make some improvements and shit.
Do you carry Adidas?
I do, yeah, but whatever, they'll get it right.
It's all good. Honest, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just being honest. Like they know I'm not, saying whatever. That I'm sure by the time this comes out, like their spring's gonna look better. They're probably like flood their board with better stuff and product. But at the same time, people are always buying shoes. We just have to do better with like letting people know to like buy the basics, because I think that's where like everyone's gonna be like better off.
Right. And I think if it's a lesson, like when you originally got that Air Woven, you weren't trying to open a Nike account.
No.
Like you were doing your thing and they came.
Yep.
So history should repeat itself. If you just do you,
Yeah.
they'll come and bless you with the
that's it,
stuff. Yeah.
eventually.
Agreed. That's it. Like, this whole modern today is based upon trend, which
Hype.
it's really bad.
Yeah.
It's like there's a handful of people that are really doing what they do for the love of it. The rest of it is like people that are following suit, which
Yeah.
is kind of like, it waters the whole game down. So in one way it's great because the competition is like, it's high,
Yeah.
but it's thin,
Yes, it's
meaning
hot. Yeah,
like
it's a
there's
lot
not,
of it. Right.
there's not that many people that are really like out there. There's a handful of like real people that are really like doing relevant shit,
Yeah. Yep.
So
A lot of noise though, but
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. We wouldn't do this shit if we didn't love it, and
Word.
that's it.
All right, man. This was dope. Thanks for the insight.
Yeah,
yeah.
Jeff Staple, everybody.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to this trip down street culture memory lane with the duo Rob and Trey of Alife. And thank you for bearing with the frog in my throat. As always, you can find out more about the show and listen to other shows at hypebeast.com/radio. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. I personally use Anchor FM. Also, please do me a favor and leave a rating and comment to tell us what you think of the show. Tell a friend about the show, spread the news. Everything definitely helps out a lot. You can also reach out to me on Twitter. I'm at Jeff Staple. We do occasionally answer listener questions. So if you have a question, shoot it over on Twitter. The Business of Hype is created in collaboration with Bright Young Things. You can check out their work at byt.nyc. Our director is Daniel Navetta. Our audio engineer is David Rogers-Berry. Our associate producers are Sydney Pacumpra and Christina Hung. This episode was recorded at Sibling Rivalry Studio and on location at the Alife headquarters in New York City. I'm Jeff Staple, and you've been listening to The Business of Hype on HYPEBEAST Radio.